Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight, folks, we're talking SparkShorts. That's right. After covering the first few beat by beat, we decided to just, out of the fact that I was kind of lazy and things got lost in the shuffle, guilty as charged, we decided we're just going to take the 10 SparkShorts that have been released so far and just do kind of a retrospective of them. Just talk through all of them, all in one go, Dragon. This is, believe it or not, this has actually been a podcast that is a long time coming. We've been kicking around like, hey, we should really catch up on those SparkShorts. All right, how are you, sir?
On the right side of the dirt.
Right on. Of course, folks, people are probably wondering, why aren't they talking about the Batman this weekend? Well, have no worries, folks. That's going to be Sunday. And Dragon, remember I teased you on Skype that I have a very interesting Batman story?
Given that you're hyping up, I really hope it's not something really, really minor.
Oh, it's not. Let me hype it up even more, right? I'm going to give you a tease of this story, okay?
This better not be a disappointing story. I'm going to tell you that much.
I attempted to see the Batman twice last night, and both times I failed.
Okay.
I got about as far as the Penguin car chase. So, yeah, I pretty much have not seen any of that movie outside, beyond that point. So, yeah, make no mistake, Sunday I will be seeing it. I love what I see so far, but we're not here to talk about the Batman today. It's a Disney Channel, for God's sakes. We're here to talk about some Pixar. And also, Dragon, I feel like this is kind of an appropriate time to do this, right? Because Turning Red is coming out next week, so I feel like this could be kind of like a nice, almost appetizer to Turning Red, if you will. Dragon, do you know offhand? I'm like, honestly, the thought just popped into my mind right now, but do you know if Turning Red is going to be releasing with a short, or if it's just going to pop up on Disney Plus as is? Or
I don't know offhand. I think there is something attached to it, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. I think there's something that's going to be released with it. Might be a situation where it gets a short and Lightyear doesn't, but I think that's one of those is going to have. Yeah, one of those is going to have a short. I think the most likely option is it's going to be Turning Red, but we'll see.
Okay. So, yeah, and honestly, Dragon, I feel like Turning Red is a good example of that, and Luca, of kind of the Pixar crew sort of taking the SparkShorts approach to feature animation. And what I mean by that is that the SparkShorts, the new Pixar films might not be as experimental in the animation department, but they certainly are more creator-driven, and that is what the SparkShorts absolutely are. So, Dragon, why don't you tell us, for anyone still not in the know about what these great SparkShorts are, why don't you tell us about the SparkShorts program?
Yes, so here's something that it's a little underreported, as much time has been dedicated to kind of spreading the word on the SparkShorts on Disney Plus. So this has been Pixar's new approach to doing their short films. Of course, very famously, of course, Pixar, its creation is based upon short films and animation with Andre and WallE B, and of course, most famously Luxo Jr. You premiere them at SIGGRAPH, you dazzle the bigwigs, and like, man, there's some merit to this animation business, with computer animation. Let's do something with that. It builds a lot of good buzz, which basically kind of kept the lights on at Pixar and just kind of allowed them to get some more, kind of a mixture of technology and creativity, and of course the building blocks of Pixar before your eyes, which eventually leads to Toy Story. So the shorts have always been imperative in the DNA of Pixar, its identity, and everything about it. So. Anyway, so of course, we've had shorts either on, theatrically or like additional shorts that are kind of tied into the movies that have been released on the home releases and such. Now,
and then when Disney Plus came out, we had series like Forky Asks a Question.
And again, none of that without the shorts, period.
I don't know.
Now, specifically how we get the SparkShorts is a wonderful story that is so underreported. It's ridiculous. It drives me nuts. So there was a short film done by essentially not Renegade in a bad way, but we had a couple animators who basically wanted to, they got permission, I believe, to basically use the what the accoutrements of Pixar, use the accommodations, and basically make a short film, kind of in a weird kind of in between space, but not an official Pixar film, but basically a film made with Pixar, the Pixar servers and their technology and everything.
That resulted in the film Borrowed Time, which was nominated for an Oscar for Best Short Film, and also I believe one of the people who worked on it commented on our video about it. So, Dragon, suffice to say, in that Best Animated Short Oscar race that year, we had skin in the game on that one.
Yeah, so it was two of the Pixar artists did that. It was Andrew Coates and Lou Hammond. I'm going to butcher his name, because I think Lou's the one who commented. I feel bad about it. Lou Hammond Lahaj. Point being, Lou and Andrew, wonderful, wonderful gentlemen, they made Borrowed Time, which again was the edgiest Pixar film ever made. Not just edgy for the sake of edge, but like they were.
I'm not going to lie. As much as I love all these Pixar SparkShorts, I think Borrowed Time might be the masterpiece out of all of them.
Which again is why I'm so upset that when we talk about the SparkShorts, we keep glazing over how that led the way, how that really kind of lit the fuse, in which basically a short so good it got nominated for the Oscar and got so much buzz and everything. It basically like, man, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, it was pretty much a thought experiment of what if Pixar were to do more adult focused films.
But also, it essentially created the outline for how the SparkShorts work. Where essentially it's director driven, as in you take some artists who maybe haven't been given the director shot with the theatrical short films or just the features themselves, and like let's take some new blood or some unknown blood, more accurately. Let's give them 6 months. Like keys to the kingdom, whatever they want to use that's at our disposal. They got 6 months. If they want to get someone on board, all they have to do is ask.
Mm-hmm.
And of course now they'll have a perpetual home on Disney Plus, which is basically the way they're doing it now after the original 6. It's like, okay, so they're made and essentially going to be distributed on Disney Plus exclusively. So that's essentially where we're at with the SparkShorts now, and it's been a great testing ground for the new up and comers, and basically kind of a litmus test, kind of a feature director litmus test, quite possibly, because now this is not 1000% the same case here, but we've seen a lot of theatrical shorts recently get features. Now, I don't believe we've seen any of our SparkShorts directors get features quite yet.
I feel like it's only a matter of time, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. It's a matter. I mean, Dome Shi did Bow, and she got a feature that we're going to be talking about very soon. So it's entirely possible.
Right. Same thing with the I forget his name, but the La Luna director doing Luca.
Yes. See, I'm thinking of a different director right now because I know.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to throw you under the bus. I'm sure his name's difficult to pronounce. Anyways. All right. So, yeah, folks, we're just going to be going through the release order of these 10 films. You know what bugs me, Dragon?
Enrico Casarosa.
This is like a minor nitpick with Disney Plus. I kind of just wish they had these things under one roof, like in a SparkShorts category.
Yeah. Well,
they don't. I had to search for them individually.
What are you talking about? They have a section for the SparkShorts. What are you talking about?
Do they? Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe it didn't show up on my mobile device, Dragon. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, maybe you should watch it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Renege my point, folks.
Yeah,
Never
maybe
mind.
you should plan in advance instead of on the go.
Okay.
Also, it was Enrico Casarosa. I remember because I like the way his name sounds. Casarosa.
All right, there we go.
Enrico. Seriously, Enrico
like
did.
Porco Rosso.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. I don't know why you said
anyway,
that.
So we're just gonna truck on through here, folks. We're gonna break down basically. You've heard our extended thoughts on at least the first 3, so we're gonna pretty much just kind of share.
I think the first 3 will go by pretty quick, and then after that, we'll probably have more to say going forward.
Because I think we kind of reacted to these on like a weekly basis back when we were doing the week-to-week coverage that Plus&Us was founded upon. So we're
exactly.
Like there are some that we absolutely haven't talked about yet, and then some that we've kind of
We've kind of like mentioned offhand.
Like when we were talking about Soul, we worked in Burrow a little bit. So
Right. Yeah,
that
yeah.
we were regardless. So yeah, well, I forget if we actually might dedicate something to Burrow. I can't recall, but regardless, we're gonna kind of, in retrospect, we're gonna look back and we're gonna share how we feel, especially now that the SparkShorts have become as big as they have become. So
okay. Let's do it. Let's start with Pearl. Hey, Dragon.
Yes.
And Pearl.
And Kristen Lester, who directed Pearl. So, yes, Kristen Lester. She had worked on Soul, Onward, and Finding Dory, I believe, in the I forget if it was the art department or the story department. She had been involved in those films.
So yeah, another thing to know is that like this doesn't necessarily have to be the case with all the SparkShorts, but I feel like at least a big majority of them tackle some sort of social issue.
Well, yes, and a lot of that is just derived from, again, them for the most part. I think
for the personal experiences.
That's what I'm saying. The majority of them are like directly a personal experience. Hence
so let me make it clear. Like, I am generally speaking not a fan of content that is preachy and finger wavy and like, hey, this is the message that we're pushing. But I feel like SparkShorts, like they do it in a really positive way, in a really creative way.
I mean, they're coming from a personal
political.
Yeah, they're coming from a personal kind of place.
Totally. All right, so Pearl is all about gender inequality in the workplace, Dragon. Isn't that a fun topic to start out with?
So this is probably my favorite of the SparkShorts, personally. There's another really good one that I think competes with this.
Oh, there's a couple for me.
I know. There's
first of all, which ones I'm talking about. Personal experience.
But first, okay, but don't get ahead of yourself. All right?
I'm sorry. I'm
just saying. I know. I'm aware. Let me just blanket all of these by saying, folks, I don't think you can really miss with any of these SparkShorts. They're all really good. So first off, I don't think Pixar dropped the ball on any of them, really. There's one I'm kind of iffy on, but I don't think it's bad.
I have one that I'm kind of like, that's just okay. I don't know if you'll agree with it. But
I think we're both going to have one on the other side of that. I think you're going to have one that anyway, we'll get to that when we get there. Regardless, Pearl, as always, I think just a really strong start, like kind of set everything.
It is a super strong start. I feel like it feels very much like a traditional Pixar short, which is a nice kind of like getting your foot in the door kind of thing.
And again, it kind of set the tone for what they were going for following the act of borrowed time. We're going to push it a little because this is rather adult compared to where we usually go with Pixar, especially with the topic at hand. Also, get a little bit.
I mean, it's adult, but it's still very much leaning on the comedy and leaning on their being.
It's safe. I'm just saying it's Which is, again, I think we found like a great kind of a great balance there.
Sure.
So it's like the human, again, they have those human reflective touches that bonds them to their director. And here it's it's women it's a women in the workplace story. And if you want to broaden it, which we kind of do wonderfully by making it a ball of yarn, it's the odd man out insecurity story.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever been like a new guy to the team or new person to the workplace or wherever or to the team, whatever you want to say there, it's like, something has, you're going to feel there's going to be an adjustment period. You're going to feel like an outsider because you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, so it broke. I love how we're getting a little bolder with the format, and we get to also get really clever with the satire. Like we have Bro Capital, and we have like little pinky arm ball. It's just really funny, just visually. I love the animation style, of course. I love how we have a very realistic setting, yet we have a really great kind of animation challenge here in the funnest sense of the word, where you have like, okay, we're going to have human coworkers, but we're going to have this ball of yarn that's going to be animated very.
You just have to buy it. You just have to totally suspend your disbelief completely and just buy it. That it's a totally naturally thing that happens.
But I love how it feels so darn natural, yet it shouldn't. Like in theory, it shouldn't work, and I love that it does, because you see like there's sort of like that almost stop motion equality with the texture of the yarn at play.
Yeah,
and like how the eyes and mouth are kind of working on this. Yet again, there's you feel so much for this character. I don't know if that's like kind of jumping I don't know if it's like a trick of the eye or if it's a trick of the heart, man, but I'm digging it. Again, it's a fun satire.
I feel like this also has more comedy than a lot of the other SparkShorts, which again kind of makes it a good entry point.
Also, a rarity in that it's a short that has dialogue, which so few shorts have dialogue.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few that have dialogue. There's
I
a
mean,
few.
within the Spark shorts, yes, there are. I'm saying in general,
Uh-huh.
though, Pixar rarely, with their mainly theatrical shorts, can you think offhand of like one that has dialogue at the top?
Oh
That's a
man,
theatrical short.
Boundin'.
That's what I'm saying. That's more
Yeah,
narration, though. But yeah, that's like, I mean,
that's
yes,
about it. Honestly, off the top of my head,
that's
Lava.
mostly narration. It's not all narration. It's mostly
Lava is also mostly narration. So
there you go.
All right, Lava still might be my favorite Pixar short of all time, if I'm being honest.
It's more a song than it is dialogue.
No, it's a damn short. Don't you dare say it's just a song.
I didn't say. I
that
meant
passage of time montage. Dragon.
I didn't.
All right. Anyways,
I meant the dialogue's being sung. Ergo, it's more.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, okay. Point being, fun satire that takes a turn towards the pathos, which is my favorite part of this whole thing. I love and again, remember, this is a big thing we had in the original 6. And I think you could say it's there for the rest of it, but I think more so in the original ones, where again, it's kind of in that borrowed time question of these shorts are really ambitious. How far are we gonna go? And I love that it really kind of has you on the edge of your seat here, where we have the big opportunity for change, where Pearl has acclimated to the workplace. She now owns the place practically. She sees Lacey, the other new hire, that is the yellow ball of yarn, and she has an opportunity of leave the knitting with your nana sort of thing, little chuckle. And does she get on the elevator with the bros, or does she aid her former self? Like, does she create the olive branch? And I love they could have gone really dark, but we didn't. And it was like, it didn't feel like, I wasn't disappointed that we didn't go dark. I like that we
generally I feel like these Spark shorts, they kind of play with the idea of like, okay, this is what, like, there's usually a happy ending. I literally don't think any of these Spark shorts.
There's one that doesn't have a happy ending.
Oh, okay.
It's a bitter. Oh, it's not a sad. Look this way. It's a bitter.
Is it Wind? Are you talking Wind?
Yes, Tiki, I'm talking Wind.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that one's a bittersweet ending for sure.
Yeah, kind of killed the suspense on that, but yes.
I'm sorry. All right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I like that we kind of, at least I like showing that the line is there. We don't have to cross it just for the sake of, we gotta cross that line, man. We gotta do it once. We gotta dip a toe over that. It's like that. It's there. We showed that we could go there, so it's not. So it's not.
I could make a Zack Snyder Batman joke right now, but I'm
regardless.
I think you know what I'm talking about with Zack Snyder Batman. All right. Anyways,
I'm painfully aware of that. Regardless, the whole integrated workplace at the end, very delightful. And of course, here it broke out. We love a good yarn. It's adorable.
All right.
Also, Brent Parker, Kari, the babysitter, voicing Pearl. I just want to get that in there too.
She's got a very Kristen Shaw voice to her too.
I just love that they got her too, because one of the other most memorable kind of female employees at Pixar has been able to given a role in that. That's kind of that's nice. All right.
Up next, Smash and Grab.
Yeah, this was directed by Brian Larson. Now, Brian Larson was one of Brad Bird's crew that he brought over to Pixar from the Iron Giant. He worked on Ratatouille, so Larson's a good guy. Larson's, I believe, an animator.
So this is really good. I think out of the Spark shorts, this one might be the one that interested me the least, just because I feel like it feels the most like a traditional Pixar short. Does that make sense?
I mean, yes and no, Tiki. I mean, it makes sense that, yeah, it is traditional. I don't think it's a detriment to it, but yeah, it's...
No, it's not a detriment. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the stuff we've been saying about, like, pushing the ground and social commentary, new animation styles and whatnot. A lot of that isn't really present in Smash and Grab. Smash and Grab is just kind of a good short. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I disagree with some of that, Tiki, only in the sense that I think there is social commentary, and there's just really subtle. Like, we have the whole class system and the whole, like, we see, like, the...
Yeah, there's definitely some classism, sure.
Yeah, we have, like, the aristocrat bots and the whole, like, we have our guys in the engine room. And again, we do kind of do that thing like we did in Pearl, where, again, it's the question of, oh, God, is his friend dead? Is he going to do, like, a suicide revenge run right now?
Right.
Is this
I guess maybe the fact that it was, like, another kind of, like, social politics in the workplace thing, it was... the message almost kind of like felt a little bit repetitive watching it right after Pearl.
I don't know, but again, it was subtle about it, though. I don't know if
it was.
Regardless, even just like on the surface, again, it's very much kind of in the WallE sci-fi DNA of it all, which of course,
that's another. I'm sorry, that's another thing that kind of like I take points off for, is that it just the world that it develops, it's creative. It just feels a little bit too WallE to me. It's like, I don't want to say it's a been there, done that kind of thing, but it very much feels like, okay, WallE worked. Let's do another sci-fi robot story.
Well, did you like the sci-fi robot story?
Yeah, I do, but WallE is Dragon. We've never actually talked about WallE, but that might be one of my most overrated Pixar movies. I think WallE's a case of like I need to watch it again, but like I'm certainly one of the people that thinks that movie peaks in the Earth stuff, and then once we get to the Axiom, it kind of slows to a halt. I don't know. So WallE has never been like my favorite Pixar movie to begin with, if I'm being honest.
All right, fair enough. Regardless, I mean, something big too with the animation on this though. They used mocap on this.
Oh, nice.
So that was even the whole like that's why the game of catch like seems so kind of seamless
Sure,
along with the
sure.
editing with like how they're kind of tossing the old ball around and everything. I mean, I gotta tell you, on the rewatch particularly, I love what we're saying with the tether. I mean, thematically and just kind of as a symbol in the short, how the two of them are tethered together, and
weirdly tethers are like a theme for a few of these things.
Yeah, it is, and I really like that though. I like how one, I mean, it's them playing ball with each other essentially is kind of like looking back on these, it kind of celebrates the core values of Pixar. We're incorporating fun into the workplace, but we're tossing the thing around. There's some trial and some error, and I think the message.
It's like those Matterhorn cast members at the basketball court on the top of the Matterhorn.
But right. I think ultimately what they're saying with this is, with the whole, basically where it goes, with the action, the climax, and the whole removing of the tethers, like you have to be unafraid to take risk and to, basically remove the tethers so you can collaborate with each other. I think that's ultimately what it's saying. I love the ending where, they indeed are alive because like, yeah, I wanted those two guys to play catch and stuff. So I just love that they're still tethered, but they're free. There's like a lot more freedom, but they're still bonded together. I mean, didn't you get some like some defiant ones kind of a soft spot for like?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That like you're breaking the chain.
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, Dragon, I'm kind of surprised that Pixar hasn't just straight up done like a Defiant Ones-esque movie since they are so, since odd couples are such a big part of their formula.
Well, yeah, but Tiki, that's called Toy Story. That is their Defiant Ones.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, like, as far as like the characters literally being tethered together.
Right. Well, that's called Smash and Grab. All right, let's move on.
All righty, let's see. So next up, we have Kitbull.
So this was directed by Rosanna Sullivan, who she's from the art department, hence the kind of why the art style looks so good in this.
Yeah, this is the first of the SparkShorts to really kind of push the animation style. I really like that. Dragon, this one's hard to watch for me a little bit, not in the sense that it's a bad one. It's very good. Just in the sense that like we see animals getting hurt, man. I don't want to see animals get hurt.
Well, you see the aftermath of them getting hurt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's it's one of those things where it's like I really respect this short. I don't want to go back and watch it too often just for that factor.
Well,
I am a little bit squeamish when it comes to animal stuff.
This one got the Oscar nomination.
I know.
It's shocking to me that I don't think any of the SparkShorts have won the Oscar, which just shocks me.
That needs to change. God damn it.
Yeah. Anyway, so the inspiration behind this one was
the animated short film Oscars this year. Like, I don't want to poo-poo them at all, but they are not very. At the very least, I don't really know what they are. You know what I mean? They're not very recognizable. Anyways,
true. Regardless, so this one was inspired by cat videos and shyness on the director's part. So I that's the thing I really
don't F with cats.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I really dug about this was the fact that you see such a range of sorry, let me try that again. I guess what I'm trying to say is what I really liked about this is how much it has to say with this really human message of where we out of fear we prevent ourselves from doing things, or we kind of like we have these regrets that we can't take back. Like when the kitten scratches the pit bull, it's a huge moment, and it's like does it out of fear and anxiety, and I think that's it. Just basically Despite these being animals, they're so darn human in the message that we push people away out of fear, out of our presumptions or our misconceptions about them or ourselves, even as like that they're, it's like, out of fear of, like, we have like the first shot of this dog we're seeing, like, from this tiny little, literally looks like Cupcake from Hey Arnold, by the way.
A little bit, yeah, totally.
Black version of Cupcake.
Oh God! Just any time they give Harold some pathos, man, it always lands. It always lands.
I love when they play the Pagliacci music too. It's just killer. So literally, I swear to God, every time I'm thinking of Buncio, I'm thinking of that music playing.
Oh God!
Anyway. Okay, my point being, so I like that we've seen, like, the dog, who was like the friendliest thing ever, like, from the cat's perspective.
I love the design of the dog.
So we play the animation on like the expressions of these animals is utterly flawless. Like, you see the moment at the end where the dog is like sidling up after to another human, which his experience with humans has been primarily abusive, from what we see, what we implied. So just seeing him, like, you see, like, it's almost like a How to Train Your Dragon mode. Like, you put the dragon's head under the hand. You see, like, the surrender and just the trust in there. But the thing is really about trust. Ultimately, it's about trusting a stranger. It's really ultimately what Kit Bull's about. Also, just with the art style, man, it's pastel meets kind of like a Miyazaki fusion, man. It looks great.
It might be one of my favorite looking of all the shorts. I will. I think there might be one or two that I like better as far as the style goes, but this is up there for sure.
Also, to my knowledge, I'm fairly certain about this. First 2D Pixar short.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
So, I mean, the only time they've ever used 2D before was a little bit of it in Your Friend the Rat up to this point. Yeah. Okay.
All right, next up, I'm going to resist the urge to make an "they all float" joke because this has my heart, man. It really does.
Yeah, Bobby Rubio. So Bobby Rubio, he had, I believe.
I honestly think out of all the SparkShorts directors, he is the one that I'm like, give him the feature.
Yeah, so let me tell you about Rubio, man. Rubio, he's got a great. I don't have time to list all the really cool stuff that Rubio's done. But let me just tell you, like, the really eye-catching stuff. He wrote Riley's First Date, the short that the Pixar short.
I don't think No, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I know.
So, so he worked in the animation and art departments on Inside Out. And beyond the Pixar scope of things, he's worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's done Emperor's New Groove, Tarzan, Treasure Planet. This guy's been on all the good stuff. Yeah, so seriously, Bobby Rubio, of course, this is a very personal story for him, in that he's relating the experience of raising his son who has autism.
Yeah, and it's not like I know anything about that, right?
Get out of town. You don't know a thing about it.
So
you know what you're talking about.
So there's actually two SparkShorts that are kind of primarily driven by autism.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I feel like Float is the one that I can more relate to for my own experiences. Basically the whole idea, like, I love the symbolism of, like, a child who is different, not necessarily bad, just different. And then, Dragon, I believe we've talked about this short before on the podcast. The moment that fucking breaks me.
Well, it's the one line.
Why can't you just be normal? That breaks me.
Okay, so there's so much to say about Float, but we don't want to tread too much of the old territory. Just to reflect on it here. So, Tiki, this was such a smart way to approach this topic, with the allegory for autism being floating, just so you can relate to anyone across the board. But that outburst, that is the crystallizing root of it. So everything else is like, okay, you can pretty much relate.
That's just like, I mean, as someone who obviously lives the autistic experience every day, yeah, that's. I can, like, I have the ability to, like, I have so many, Dragon, like, look at us, like, I'm not calling you autistic, of course, but, like, look at our range of interests, like, just on the channel, how many different things we have our hands in, but by the same time, you have seen me at my worst. I've had some bad moments on air, don't put me in front of a debate that I'm particularly passionate about and not give me the point. It won't end well, as we've learned. But I definitely think that it's a great kind of message. I will say the art style is a tiny bit generic.
Well, no, I'm going to fight you on that because on the rewatch I caught a couple things that really dazzled me on this. I
You know
had
why
not
I
caught
you know why
before.
I think the art style's generic?
Why?
Is because I feel like the father looks a lot like Hector from Coco, and Hector from Coco also looks a lot like the grandfather from Encanto. So it's like, all right, I've seen this specific design a couple different times now.
Well,
I'm just saying, Hispanic man with the mustache and goatee thing,
I
the
think technically he's Filipino here, but yeah.
okay, that's a good catch. Yeah, thank you. But still, it's a similar look.
Okay, fine.
The facial hair and the body type are very similar.
Right.
Anyways.
Okay, my point. So, you have like just with the animation, the art style. I mean, you have moments of like the piercing light, man. What we do with lighting in this is really impressive. Like when he closes that door out of fear of like in the neighborhood. So I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little. I'm going to build back to the lighting point just to get it in there. So you see the father's love and the pride he feels with his son at the beginning of this short, but then the fear of the outside world's reaction to him, just the subtle level of just I don't know. There's just like all these little subtle touches. Like I noticed this in the rewatch too. There's an interracial couple, and I could be absolutely reading into this, man, but it kind of read to me is that you know what, the struggles of then versus the the struggles of now to a degree. Where then that would have been a huge deal, which it's commonplace, and I don't know, it's maybe like I don't know, if I sprinkle a little bit
I
of
can
hope
see
in
that.
there. I could be reaching, but I don't know. I kind of read on like the little details because all the little details do amount to something everywhere else in this. Like when he runs back inside the house out of fear of how everyone's going to react, the lighting is so darn piercing, and he's like the father seeping into darkness of just like the existential dread this parent
And I want to touch
has.
on that. I want to touch on the existential dread because it's shown this short through the father, but let me tell you, as someone who lives the experience, that existential dread, like absolutely, you inherit that dread, Dragon. You inherit it. Like
Yeah.
you are. Like I have had days. Most days I'm fine, but some days when my anxiety's acting up, I just walk down the street and I'm just like, oh my god, everyone can see. It's like I feel so exposed. It's kind of like that classic like dream where you show up to school in your underwear or something. It's like, oh my god, everyone can see that I'm autistic and everyone can see that I'm different and other, and it's a really harrowing thing to go through sometimes.
So that's the thing, Tiggy. Think about that. Of just like the fact the kid isn't innocent in this, and he has no idea that anything's amiss here, and he just thinks his father's being kind of like not a jerk, but he's just being really restrictive. And what I really loved about this is
His
that when he
father is
goes,
absolutely not a jerk. Let's get that clear.
yeah, exactly. Precisely, and I love
Yeah.
that what it harkens back to for me, and what I think is really strong about this, and getting to the core Pixar at its storytelling best, is it harkens back to like the core concept of Finding Nemo, which was Andrew Stanton going on the walk with his son, and he kept like correcting him and everything. Again, like he overcompensated. He kept stifling his kid, which robbed him of the opportunity to bond, and basically projecting his own dreads, which essentially is everything he's dreading now essentially is what he fears his kid's going to be dreading himself down the line. Why he's just very overcorrective, essentially. So that's all that. And of course, the thing that just gets me too, I call him the rewatch, never got before. The last thing is so the reactions in the park. The parent, if you rewatch and you look at the reactions on everyone, it's a really interesting process where you see. I think Bobby Rubio really put a lot of real life reactions into this, even though it's the allegory of floating, where it's like reactions that his son's probably gotten. Like he's had this experience in the park, where
I am sure that my dad can relate to this even more than I can.
Exactly. So you have like the parents giving the father an eyeball, and you have the kids looking a little uneasy at this other kid, even though he's just floating, which is harmless. But again, there's kind of like an intimidation thing on there. It's again, the kids are seeing something kind of the discomfort, and like just before they get to know the kid, which again I like on the rewatch. There's not like a big sugary happy ending if you look in the background. Okay, it's basically the father and the son have their moment after the whole like, why can't you be normal?
Yeah.
And they reach a good place. Again, he swings with them. Again, they kind of meet each other halfway, in which it's the closest thing he can do to floating, which is on the swing set. You'll notice everyone else though, they're not all happy-go-lucky and going back to playing. The silence from that moment is still there, and the eyes are still on them.
I did notice that. I'm glad that you. So essentially it's a moral about not really caring what other people think, which is a big part of the autism struggle, man. It really is.
And it's really it's like a who cares what they think moment.
Right,
It's like
right,
the
totally.
crowd. Yeah, they don't rally at the end. That's a really good choice. They wouldn't rally at the end. We didn't show it, and it's just the fact that it shouldn't matter if they rally at the end.
Exactly.
So much good stuff with Flo, and also that one should have gotten the nomination. As great as Kit Bull was, that one Float should have.
Oh, I totally agree. Obviously, I agree. I mean, I like Kit Bull a lot, but yeah.
Kit was a fair nomination, man, but still Float.
All right, next up. This one might be my favorite just conceptually. Wind. Oh, hold on. So, yeah, I love this conceptually, Dragon. It feels very original. And it doesn't really feel like there's like a one-for-one allegory here. It feels like it's tackling a couple different things at the same time.
Yeah, so this was directed by Edwin Chang. Well, again, another guy I could see in the feature chair, honestly. I think he did a really good job.
Oh, I could see him in a few. Yeah, because I honestly think this might have the best world building out of all of them.
So, and in the story, crafting the story on this was really tricky with the ending, given the runtime for him, because he had a lot to really convey there, and they had to come up with crafting the ending was the hardest part for this one. So, this guy, here's what's fascinating about Edwin Chang. This would be really interesting to see him go to features. He's in the sim department. He's the VFX and simulator guy, which is why you have the aesthetic of the floating, the whole floating thing.
Sure.
Like the whole like wind tunnel effect and everything. He worked on Up, and also another reason he should be in the feature chair. He worked on Borrowed Time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Anyway, so the personal story here is that it's an immigration story about his grandmother and his father. I believe Korean, if I recall. There was basically in getting from point A to point B, the father had to leave the grandmother behind. That was her sacrifice, and that's where the core of the story came from. Well, this is a story about sacrifice, for essentially kind of generational sacrifice to a degree.
Yeah, and like I said, it's very deep. It's very thoughtful. I love the scale of the animation. I love how abstract a lot of the visuals are.
Yeah, it's a great visual sell up front with the wind fans and the gravity at play. And
we kind of established, Dragon, quite a few of these shorts kind of use gravity.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Now, I know that this is paralleling the Korean War, and I believe the director himself is Korean based on that fact. But what vibe I got from this, though? I'm not saying it is this, but it's the vibe I got. It's kind of like a Japanese internment camp from the 40s vibe.
I can totally see that.
Here.
Yeah, with the harsh grays and stuff like that.
Yeah, but particularly like the whole found. Remember, like think about Empire of the Sun. Remember, we found all the stuff in the camp. It's kind of like that. It's like how we found all the parts to build the spaceship. It feels very internment campy. Like Anyway, and again, the point being, this short sums up hopelessness so well to me. It does, with a beautiful power to it. It's about making hard choices. So again, the next generation will flourish and go on. So this is I think the themes of this really mature without it being like really. Again, it was like this is kind of like the wake up call a kid needs now and again. Again, it's sort of like Brad Bird's philosophy about the Saturday morning things. We need to show people can get hurt, and bad people will kill you. You need to teach kids the moral lesson here. And this is the one that does not have the happy ending. This is like the bittersweet ending. It's heartbreakingly bittersweet end where. She lies to the kid, but I love like the childish kind of hope tethering plan, like literally, I'll ride it like a ski, like a jet ski to get out of there. So again, it's just like it's like a fun logic and whimsy to this, but versus like the reality. It's like a good balance between childlike whimsy of our world building and the reality of no, she can't ride on that tether getting out of there.
Yeah, totally.
She's an old woman. That's not going to work. And I mean, this one, this one kind of cut me deep too, because I do have a strong bond with the old grandmother. So yeah, this one kind of hits me in the feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, the whole ceremony of it all, like the whole you eat together, you kind of hang out together, that sort of thing. So the end,
Okay. All right. Next up is Loop, the other autism focused one. So Dragon, whereas Float kind of represents my personal experiences, I definitely think Loop is I'm not sure exactly how much I've actually talked about my brother on this channel. I don't think I brought him up very often, but he is nonverbal autistic. And Dragon, oh my God, like this short is so fucking raw to the experience of having a nonverbal autistic sibling or friend or whatever, what have you, and dealing with them and trying to connect with them. I love this short, Dragon. I really do. I don't want to just call it my favorite just because it's easy, you know. It's just like, of course, this one is going to be my favorite because of the life experience of it all. But man, I mean, every little thing here, from the facial reactions to the gestures to the, the repetitive, the repetitive stuff that she does. The sensory stuff with the thistles and stuff like that, how people handle her and react to her. Right, this is so authentic to the nonverbal autistic experience.
All right, so this was Erica Milsom. She actually does the I believe the behind the scenes stuff for Pixar. She put together like the inside Pixar thing they have on Disney Plus, like the short kind of little like behind the scenes things. And she had done like the bonus features on the Incredibles and the Finding Nemo.
God, the bonus features on the Incredibles, Jesus, that's
I know. And in Nemo,
that's a Hall of Fame worthy thing in itself.
Nemo and Incredibles were the Hall of Famers for that too. The Incredibles particularly.
Dragon, we talked about this before, but the thing that always blew my mind about the Incredibles DVD is that you had you had like the big main menu of bonus features, and then it's like even more bonus features.
Yep, even more.
Anyways,
all right, so Yeah, I remember they consulted the reason. I think the reason they got it so close, they consulted very closely. I don't know I forget what the group's called offhand, but like basically the Coalition for for the Autistic Community, whatever that the organization is called. Anyway, here's the thing. This one is, again, this is not bad at all. This is probably my least favorite of the SparkShorts. I got to be honest.
What?
Here's why. And again, it's a taste.
Okay, this is obviously a situation where it's like you don't have the personal connection to it that I do, and that's totally fine.
Well, I have reasons I was going to get into.
Okay.
Just make your blind assumptions.
I mean, there's no way I can say that this is less than top tier for me personally, based on my personal experience.
I mean, look. For me, I think this is good, but to me, it feels like, especially in comparison with Float, it feels like it flew too close to the sun on this in a certain regards. And I don't mean that, and I don't think it's falling short, but I think this is the hardest Spark short they had to make. I really do. I think this is the hardest one to convey, and I don't think it's like it's them falling short at all. I just think this is like an almost impossible thing to kind of convey, and I think they did the absolute best job they could. I applaud the ambition, and particularly how we, the POV aspect with Renee, with the girl character, how we see it from her perspective and everything. And basically, it's short about a communication barrier at play. So that was really interesting to me. I don't know. It's just it just feels like an insurmountable difficulty to kind of. I don't know. Plus, again, it's one of the other examples of this is a short.
Yeah, it literally is an insurmountable difficulty, Dragon. That
I know.
Live with it.
I know. That's the thing. It's kind of. I don't know. I've always in a weird space with this.
Like this day, I still have a lot of moments with my brother where I'm like, God damn, Trevor, I just wish you could just use words to tell me what you want. That'd be so great.
I know. It's just. I think ultimately what it is for me, Tiki, is. It's Float conveyed so much with so little, like one line.
That's fair. That's totally fair. This feels a lot more like kind of like a real world interpretation and less fantastical.
And that's what I'm saying. I think it was. I respect the chutzpah this thing had, man. Like, it was a gutsy move to show the self-destructive meltdown, like they did when she threw the phone.
This is like the most raw depiction of autism I think I've ever seen in media, honestly.
Yeah, and I think the important distinction that they made in this, which what I really like, is that she's not. We made a distinction for anyone who's just like this is kind of like one could say. Like, would you go as far as say this is kind of like a 101 for the nonverbal autism thing? You think this would be like accurately depicted?
Absolutely.
So
and
that's
the point that I want to make there really quick is I feel like autism in pop culture is kind of becoming more and more universally accepted. It's like, oh, they're quirky, like, and it's like, no, it goes way, way deeper and more challenging than being quirky, guys.
So, I mean, for me, I'm just looking at it in that and like the 101 aspect, it would seem that it's like, okay, we're establishing, I think, that, okay, she's not dumb. She's in basically a perpetual, she's the best way I could describe it is like, she's not dumb. She's in a perpetual game of charades, but she can't use her
Yes.
hands.
Yeah,
Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, totally.
That's the vibe I got. That's kind of like, yes. I mean, again, I think I like
and
that.
of course, Dragon, I am not nonverbal autistic, so I don't know exactly what it's like. It's all speculative, but yeah, I mean, that definitely feels like what it would be like.
At the very least, that's kind of what I got from here. Which, I mean, it seems at least like it's in the ballpark, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right. Next up, Out.
Yeah, so this was directed by Stephen Hunter. Now, Stephen Hunter, he's kind of a journeyman animator, man. He's been everywhere. He's kind of like indoctrinated by Brad Bird. He's been around since Bug's Life, and he kind of really became one of Brad Bird's. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. He's just been a journeyman for Pixar. I remember him mostly because in The Incredibles, remember when Syndrome walks to the plane about to fly to the city?
Yeah.
When they drop thing. He does this walk, like as soon as like this walk where like he's like puts his finger on his nose, he does like kind of this shake when he walks. Like that's Steve Hunter's walk that they put into the animation.
By the way, speaking of Incredibles, I just saw this meme where it was like, "Oh my God, guys, I'm shook right now. I have a crazy theory that Incrediboy is actually Syndrome." God. And I feel like that was a pretty clever parody of like just clickbait culture in general. It gave me a good laugh. Anyways,
point being, this guy's been around through the long, but basically everything after Toy Story, Steve Hunter's been around, and I had no idea about this. And I think I saw this maybe once. Pixar did this video once. But I don't know if it was for like one of the holidays or not, but it was like did this like it gets better or like an It's an Okay video, like one of those things where they kind of it was the first time I kind of saw it. Oh man, that was honestly an eye-opening thing, but I didn't know how diverse the employees of Pixar were in that regard. So this is a personal story for him. I think Hunter might have popped up in that because I had no idea he was gay until I saw this show. So this is a personal story for him. I assume I believe Stephen Hunter is Canadian, which is represented here as well.
All right, I got to be honest with you. I really, really, really like all the stuff with the parents. The dad giving Manuel the big hug at the end, Dragon. Yeah. Oh my God, that fucking melts my heart. That melts my fucking heart. But Dragon, I'm not a big fan of the animal body switch gimmick in this one. Honestly, I don't necessarily think it needed to be there.
I hate the bathroom gag with the body switch. I hate.
Yeah.
I love the mustache gag, though. That's really fun.
I mean, there's some good comedy that comes out of it. I just think this short would have been stronger if you just kept to the premise. I just don't necessarily think you needed a fantastical gimmick. I feel like this premise is honestly like a little bit too real world to even call for a gimmick like that, honestly. There was a little bit of a disconnect there, as much as I really wanted to love this one.
Let me say this. Two things that occurred to me on the rewatch of this. It's been a while since I've gone back to Out because, again, it's not as eye-catching as, say, Pearl or Float.
Believe it or not, this one, 20-something, and Nana are the three that I actually had never watched before. So this one was kind of new to me. It's been on our radar for a while. We actually we were very close to covering this one for Pride Month last year. It just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah, I think it was
the timing just didn't work out.
Well, do you know when Pride Month is? Like
June.
Month? Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, because we do Spielberg Month in June. That's why.
That's exactly why it didn't work out.
That's what I thought because they usually be anyway. So here's what occurred to me on the rewatch of this. So with the dog gimmick, a thought occurred to me I never had, Tiki. Well, I think we kind of need. I buy the dog thing more than I had before.
Okay,
is that seeing Greg, like the human Greg, acting like a dog and like bothering his father outside? That gag. I think that gag again. Like you're using the dog somewhat as an avatar here. I think for maybe the fear of like everything he fears that traditionally a father might see in a son if he were to come out. So I think it's like my son. Yeah. Basically, it's like we've represented the fear of the gay man coming out to his father here of like, it's like my son's like he's a weirdo or something, kind of the old fashioned kind of way.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, again, it's like if I were gay, I'm sure that I would like relate to this on a super personal level the same way I do to something like Float or Loop. So
sure,
it's all about personal experience.
Certainly. And also I love that in making him a dog, you kind of make him a child, and which kind of like allows that scene with the mother to be a little bit more tender, I suppose. So I mean, I don't know. That's why I kind of buy the dog.
That scene with the mom and then the hug at the end were the two big MVP scenes for me. Yeah.
Now I will say this. something occurs to me. So again, this is Pixar full on tackling what in the animation field, which now we're starting to break this barrier. But again, for the longest time, and still we're not fully out of the woods yet. The taboo subject in the animation field of just of homosexuality and the LGBT community. It seems
Steven
like
Universe says hi.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying with stuff like that, we've been starting to, but I'm saying like kind of like we haven't gone.
I mean,
to the
this
feature.
with absolutely no disrespect, Dragon. Steven Universe is a ridiculously gay show.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, Steven Universe is like the only. I mean, can you call to mind any other major examples in animation?
In animation, I mean, I'm sure I could if I sat down and thought about it.
Okay, what about in feature form?
Yeah, in feature form, that's a little more difficult.
I mean, the most we've gotten recently is like is essentially a reveal in Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Yeah, Mitchell's, Paranorman.
Yeah, but to be fair, Paranorman's like a gag. That doesn't really count.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So the fact
I would say Mitchell's would probably be the most positive representation we've had. Yeah,
it is. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's just so few and far between. And this is, again, Pixar, they've been sprinkling it in there with like Onward. But it's just the fact that this is like the first full-on time we've actually
hold on. The Onward thing, I
said
do not like those types of gay characters, all right? That's a whole other can of worms.
That's exactly my point, is the fact
the background characters where it's like, hey, look, we're being inclusive, right?
So I'm saying this is the kind of thing that you need to get to having, making progress. Like, so again, we can take the next stage from like a Mitchell's versus the Machines, like that sort of thing. We can maybe put a gay character in the focus. Or honestly, we almost said it here, and this is I don't know if it's like a Disney mandate or not. I don't know if there's like a fear in the industry overall, or it's just like, I don't know. We want to make sure like people get it without like any bigoted people is getting scared off if we say the word. Like they cannot say the word gay in animation.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah,
that's the thing. So that's I mean that's the line. I mean I kind of get it. By the same token, it's like I think we handle it really well in the short form here, and I think we should be bold like this in the feature form. Okay,
I agree. I totally agree.
All right.
Okay, but please no more body swap plots. That's all I'm asking.
By the way, weirdest body swap plot, because we had like the weird psychedelic, dog.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Pixar. I love Pixar to death. They don't have a great track record with body swap.
Oh, come on, that's.
I'm just saying. If Soul did not have a body swap, I think it'd be a perfect movie.
Come on, the body swap, it was like a great surprise in how they
No, it wasn't. It was not a great surprise.
I remember you liking that body swap more initially.
Yeah, well, anyways. All right, Burrow.
Jimmy Burrows. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Burrow. So,
directed Jimmy Burrows? What?
Yeah, the guy who directed all the Cheers and Frasier episodes.
Okay, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, James Burrow. Anyways, point being, well, it's a deep. We're digging deep in this anyway. I thought I'd throw a deep cut. Yeah. Anyway, Maddie, I believe Maddie Sharafian. She directed this. Anyway, so she was like lead story. She's lead story on Turning Red, by the way.
Oh, nice.
She worked a little bit of boarding on Coco. So yeah, she did this, and this was the short that was before Soul, as you just kind of threw some shade at it, how appropriately. So this hit me in a This one hit me where I live, man. This hit me in a really reflective way. That's the thing I've always had with Burrow.
This is not one of my favorites. I really do dig the animation style. I just think that the whole theme of like the neighborly trust, and I don't know. Tell me what you got out of it as far as like the major theme goes.
Well, I mean, for me, it's it cut me deepest in that it's one of my shards of kryptonite. Let's call it is the inability to ask for help, and that basically you're going to dig yourself.
I can feel that. Yeah,
that we literally see our character dig a hole too deep to the point where they're underwater. So that's really what I get from it. It's the fact that it's like my heart went out to this rabbit, man. And I just marvel at
Rabbit kind of had a little bit of Judy Hopps energy to her.
Little bit. I mean, that's
just from the characterization.
I mean, also what really wows me with this, I just marvel at the nuances of like the emotion of stress and embarrassment on like.
I mean, it's great to see Pixar do 2D. Isn't it ironic that Pixar is doing more 2D than Disney is these days?
It's a heady idea for sure.
I want to see Pixar just do a straight 2D movie, man.
Also Oh, absolutely, yes. Maybe
Right,
a black and
right.
white detective movie while we're at it.
You read my mind, bro.
I mean, at the very least, Brad Bird's doing maybe what's going to get him there. Brad Bird's doing a detective movie somewhere right now. He's doing it. Maybe let's do that in 2D.
Okay.
Anyway, so the depiction of the tunnel system looks really good. Looks a little Walden.
It does. Yeah.
I can't really explain these Walden books are really like kind of the old like the kitty thing with a golden spine on it. You know.
Right. Yeah. I would define it as like a children's book illustration.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I thought it was like, I don't know if it was called Walden Books or what. I think it was the bookstore. But anyway. Regardless, yes. I mean, yeah, I like that we
almost kind of like, you know, those children books illustrations, like I'm not sure where's Waldo is the correct term, but like those illustrations where it's like it shows like a ton of stuff going on in like a splash page.
That's what I'm saying. I love the splash page.
Yeah.
I love seeing like, you know, like the interconnected tunnel system and everything, like how like the neighboring apartments kind of works like underground, like the different boroughs, like a city has boroughs. And that was really neat. I guess like so rarely do you see embarrassment in animation. Like that's what I'm saying. Just the human emotion is like how that was conveyed. And let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, there was like a very Fantasia flourish and flavor to it with the score.
This is probably the most Fantasia-esque short out of the 10, I think.
And also, I think ultimately on the rewatch, like this celebrates the collaboration process again that put Pixar at the top here. Where again, it's like when they work together, when help is asked and offered, you know, again, like really great things come from. Like the rabbit has a great apartment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Dragon. This one really caught me by surprise. 20-something.
Yeah, so this was Afton. I hope I'm saying that right. Afton Corbin. She directed this, and she worked on Soul.
Mm-hmm.
She's a recent hire, so I believe she's the new. I think she's the newest blood out of any of the directors we've had so far. I think
the animation style actually kind of gives me a little bit of a Kid Cosmic vibe.
Vague. There's a vague Kid Cosmic.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. Definitely, especially with Joe, particularly, there's a little bit.
Well, yeah, but not just with Joe. I mean, that's an easy one-to-one comparison to make. I'm just saying the designs of the characters in general.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying you're right.
Yeah,
there is sort of like, but I'm saying like Joe's like.
I mean, 10-year-old, the 10-year-old version of this character certainly looks a lot like Joe.
Yeah, I mean, also like literally like the way Joe's hair is animated in Kid Cosmic looks a lot like kind of like the animation style at play. So anyway, but yes. Yeah, this was a clever coming of age short. You know,
I really dig this one, man. Because I feel like this is something that literally every 20-something can relate to. It's a pretty universal feeling, don't you think?
No, for sure. Yeah, it's the it's.
I mean, I feel like it's like this is like the big secret of life that adults know but kids don't realize is that. Adults are just as fucked up and hopeless as kids are. They're just in bigger bodies.
Yeah, there's not a rule book. There's not like literally.
Yeah. It's like, you know, when you're a kid, you just think like, oh man, once I'm in my 20s, it's all just gonna crystallize and come into place, and I'm gonna be a big adult.
Yeah, they give you the briefcase.
Not exactly how it works.
Yeah, when you grow up, they give you the briefcase and the mustache.
Exactly.
Into place.
Yeah.
Give you
all
like
right. Here's your diploma. Here's your briefcase. Here's the deed to your new home.
Yep, and it's all just gonna fall into place like
that. Right.
Not the case. So, yeah, this was basically this is kind of like the better version of the BoJack Horseman game.
It is absolutely the better version of Vincent Adult Man, for sure.
Yeah. Just given pace.
I want to make it clear, I like Vincent Adult Man. I think Vincent Adult Man is actually one of the funnier ideas that BoJack ever did. But yeah, this was definitely the more heartfelt version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, this it's a really cool exploration of the POV conceit of this here, where we have like 3 generations of herself, like basically, holding the other one up, and all of them just all of them unsure of themselves as they hit the 21 mark. I mean, think about it, Tiki. We took the classic animation, honestly, the classic comedy conceit of like Big Coat, basically Muppet Man. We did the Muppet Man thing,
Totally, yeah.
And we added like an Inside Out component to it, which I think really took it.
We added some pathos, and then also I really like the payoff where Drake, the payoff to me is pretty much what sells this thing, where it's like, you know, it'd be one thing to kind of showcase her individual experience, but I love the payoff where it's like everyone is a kid at heart, and that's totally okay.
I gotta tell you, man, on the rewatching it, the thing that I just loved so much, and it really, I just really classy as all get out, man.
Mhm.
Aside from don't worry, the ending with the whole inner child thing was probably the classiest part of the whole thing. But the shot that really got me was just really impressed me was when Gia's the three little girls put together, the 1, 10, 16-year-old,
Yeah.
when she walks after, her friend Nicole, I believe, like, kind of basically imparts the moral of the story that, it's baby steps and stumbles, how appropriate. Baby steps and stumbles as we move forward in life. Basically, you move forward, it's going to be some stumbles, it's not going to go perfectly, but you'll get there. When she walks out of that stall, and she's the design of this character, where it's an incorporation of all of those characters, as well as the coat that they wore. Like, the coat that they wore is like the plaid pattern on the dress, and she looks in
Mhm.
the mirror, and it's all three little girls still stacked on each other without the coat. I love that.
Yeah, totally.
See, this is a darn charming short.
Yeah, fair to say this is on the upper tier for both of us, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm not going to, because I don't think she's ready for it. I don't think Corbin should necessarily jump the features like without a. I'm not saying she has a really good idea, but I want to see Corbin do more shorts, man. I want to see what
Uh-huh.
she's got in the tank. I think she's
All
got
right,
some
and
good
the
juice.
final one, Nana, or however the frick you pronounce it.
Well, Nuna or Nana, I don't know if. Yeah, I can't.
We're uncultured swine, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know.
Well,
What to
I've
tell
heard
you.
it. Well, here's the thing. I've heard Nani, and I've heard like the Nani version of it. But I don't know if there's like.
And I also think there's like there's like two different gendered ways to say it too, so that muddies the waters even.
I don't
further.
know if there's like a thing like, I've heard Nani, which I think is derived from Sicily. I don't know how that works. It's
Oh,
not.
God.
It's a whole thing. Let's not.
All right, so grandma that loves wrestling, Dragon. That's the conceit.
This was directed by Luis Gonzalez, who this guy's absolutely one of Brad Bird's guys. Came with him from Iron Giant. He's worked on Monsters Inc. He's done Incredibles. He's done Ratatouille, Cars, and also one of your favorite. He did Lava.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Wrestling Grandma, what'd you think?
I like this one a lot. I think this one might be one of the more entertaining of the SparkShorts. I think as far as emotions go, it's fine. It certainly does have the one kind of hit you in the feels moment with the with the picture of the dead husband for sure.
I mean, when we went to the photo of the past husband, to the Force Ghost, like when she closed her eyes, she's in the front row of the wrestling arena next to her, and and she's like in the armchair and everything. And then there's her husband. There's like as an Obi-Wan Kenobi Force Ghost. It's adorable.
If I had one nitpick about this short, I would say that I think it kind of takes maybe a little too long to get to the emotional stuff. But I mean, as it stands, it's a very entertaining short, to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really love the visual storytelling that's at play even from the start, man. Where we see we set up everything we need to just in the visual cues. Like, okay, we see the mug that says grandma. Okay, so she's a grandmother. We see the calendar. It's I don't know. There's like a really good flow to the visual storytelling at play. The photo of the husband, like we're saying everything we need to. I know this is pretty much like what Pixar does in the regular with these shorts, but it kind of gives you a moment to appreciate. It's like, man, everything is just so well laid out. It's like the little nuances. This home feels very lived in. This feels like this is a woman's life that's happened, and she has I don't know. It felt just authentic to the grandparent experience, where sometimes the kid's going to sidle you with the grandkid at an inopportune time. And of course, then you have the very relatable struggle, the war over the TV, when you are the grandkid. You have, a little bit of that going on.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just kind of great how they apparently the biggest story thing to crack in this was the low of lows. So how they cracked the code on Nuna not being angry with. What's funny? Her name, I don't know if it's like a different pronunciation, but there's another Renee, I'm pretty sure. I think this little girl's name is Renee
God.
based on the text. I don't know if I read that wrong. I think it's Renee. Maybe it's pronounced differently, but it's like two Renees between Loop and this. Clearly someone was on two productions.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so this is the fact that I love that she saved her from the fall and the TV breaks, and it's not just justified anger, but she'd be a little cheesed. Like, oh my god, you did something really dangerous there, and you broke my TV. I'm upset. Like she wasn't like mad at her, but instead it was like
It
a
was the
sadness.
emotion of losing that connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like her whole ceremony to memorialize her husband. It's like it's Kaputski, and of course the solution is well, you've lost family, but hey, you still got family.
Totally.
Yeah.
Overall, I'd say that it's not in my top tier of the SparkShorts. It's pretty solid, though.
Did you see the post-credit scene on this?
No, I did not.
It's adorable. It's this thing where she's sleeping in her arms at the end, and basically she had put on the kitty thing from earlier that was just terrible, and she's trying to reach for the remote, and it's just like it falls. She can't get to it.
God.
It's really funny.
Okay, so I think that's about it. Let me just go ahead and all right. Any final parting words, Dragon? Do we know if this is it? Or are we going to get more SparkShorts?
Well, I'm sure. I think right now what they're doing is just any shorts that we're getting going forward, they're just going to label as SparkShorts.
That's fair. That's fair. That's cool.
I mean, to be
like
fair,
that.
It's been a while since we had a legit theatrical. We have to get a short in theaters to really tell.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Until I looked, I think I looked it up. I looked it up before we really got into the conversation. I don't think Turning Red has a short. So Lightyear might have a theatrical short. It sounds like I don't know if it's going to be like a repurposed Spark short or if it's going to be an actual theatrical short. Like, well, hey, we're going to theaters. We're going to bring, we're going to bring a short there because we want to do it upright.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out, but I'm sure.
And of course, I would also encourage. I don't think these are as good, but I also like the Disney short subjects.
Yeah, Short Circuit.
Short Circuit. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, not Johnny Five, the other Short Circuit.
Right.
Yeah, it's those are good as well. First season particularly.
I don't think they're quite as personal as this one, but they're still pretty solid. With those, I just like playing around with the different animation styles more than anything else.
I'd recommend the first season before the second. But
I think you and I agree on that. Yeah, the second season's okay, but I think the first season was really good.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's about it, Dragon, right? And nothing else to say here?
I'm sure we're going to get more SparkShorts in the future in some way, shape, or form.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mono e mono, just Plus and Us. Black and white film noir Brad Bird movie, please, Pixar, just do it.